Anthony MacDonald, and I'm the current chair of the Academy, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all, and hopefully we'll see you at future Academy events over the coming months. We have a few lined up, including a British Academy of Management jointly held event on June 2nd, which will focus on enhancing research visibility through social media. We have a paper development workshop coming up on the 10th of June, and then our annual conference and doctoral colloquium in late August on the 25th and 26th. So hopefully we will see you at some of those. And we've been delighted with the response to this morning's webinar, with 120 plus registrations, taking in nearly every institution on the island. So it's really heartening to see the interest in this topic, even though as we come to the end of a year where we've been, I suppose, forced in some cases, but others, I guess, have a lot of experience and long-standing experience in this domain, and that's why I guess it's really great to have two experienced people in the context of Professor Graham Heaslip and Eamon Walsh. So Graham is head of School of Engineering, but is the past head of school in business at GMIT, and Eamon is head of the Department of Enterprise and Technology at GMIT. So they both bring, I think, really good experience and knowledge, and I'm sure it's a useful session, and I think maybe it's probably really timely in the context of taking stock maybe of the year that's gone by and looking ahead to the future as well, in terms of how we might make further improvements, how we maybe how is the future going to look when things return to normal and so forth. Just before I hand over, I just want to say that we are recording today's webinar as well, and that will be available to watch again afterwards. So again, hopefully that will be useful to people subsequently. So I'm going to pass over to Graham and Eamon, who I know have an interactive session rather than just all talking. So I think it'll be great. It'll be a great session, and probably a demonstration perhaps of some of the techniques of teaching online. So over to you, Graham, Eamon. Thanks.
Anthony, thank you very much. I'm just going to put up the presentation there to kick off. So the first thing I'll just say to everyone, could you just mute your mics there, just in case you get, dogs or children running around the place. Could help here. So what we did I'm just going to give you an overview of how we approached it. It's led to some success, and I'm just going to show you some of the topics we're going to discuss this morning about delivering online. So what to do before the student arrives to the university, onboarding at program level, then at module level. We're going to talk a little bit about the ERICOM, which is how we do our remote labs. Universal design for learning as well, we'll touch on that, and proctoring, the online assessment format, and other benefits that we've encountered for going online. So how we've decided to do this webinar is I'm just going to talk through some of the bullet points, and then we're going to transfer over to Eamon, who's actually going to bring you live into our sites. He's going to show you the program landing pages. He's going to show you the module landing pages. He's going to show you the interacting in the ERICOM. So look, I'm just going to push on for it. So the first thing before arriving in the university, first thing to get in order was the software for ourselves. So one of the things we came up with was we were very conscious. We have a lot of lab environments, and we had to get remote access to our labs. So we've done that through a software solution called ERICOM, and you'll see that in a few minutes. We also have a MS package is what we use within GMIT. I don't know what others are using, but all the students had that, and we had to provide training for staff and students in those areas. And then what the college did was we came together and had what we call a company portal. So facilitates the latest applications that are available. So once they're approved, they're put on the company portal, and every staff member can download the various applications that they require. At an individual staff level, we made a decision to equip every individual lecturer with what we call an IT pack, and that is a laptop with an additional screen. In some cases, it was 2 screens, depending on the discipline they had, but at least everybody would have their laptop plus an additional screen, keyboard, mouse, docking station, and a camera. We provided training, and we'll show you some of the training we did in the school, but then the institute itself provided other training. Then we set up a SharePoint site to act as a repository for material, and then we had a digital upgrade on our administration. So just to show you, for example, what I mean by the SharePoint repository. So just pop that in here. So this is our SharePoint repository that we developed for the School of Business. Now, I'm just going to scroll down a little bit here. So you can see there's various bits and pieces that we upload. We have a video here for people about how to use our eLabs. That's the ARICOM. We'll get onto that. But this is the big thing we did. We took, from about April onwards, we started having workshops. We were taking one Monday morning for about 2 hours where we were doing workshops. Now, the thing I should have said, sorry, I should have prefaced at the start is, we had experience of delivering online through some of our programs that are on Springboard. So we have a business analytics program and a blockchain program, for example, that are delivered 100% online in Springboard. So the idea was to take the staff that had been very used to delivering online, they've been doing that for about 2 to 3 years, and to take their knowledge and experience about how best to translate that to the rest of our programs for our undergraduates and postgraduates. So we sat down as a group and we came up and said, right, we need 6 workshops. Here's how we need to break it down. And it was just distilled in bite-sized chunks for people. It was very open, it was very frank conversation, warts and all for the staff. So the first workshop, as you saw, was onboarding the students at program level. So we're going to show you those things today. Then there was onboarding at a module level. And we're not going to get, then the next workshop was about enhancing the engagement with the student online. We're not going to do that today. We're just going to show you the kind of the scaffold to get the students on board, and then maintaining the student engagement, how to assess them, and then we had a wrap up. The other thing you might notice then is over on the right hand side, we have all these drop down videos that we've made. So these were little add-ons for staff, how to upload a video file into Stream for Moodle access, how to submit your videos, you know, various bits and pieces that staff were interested in. Again, a lot of this came from the staff that were very used to delivering online. So it was second nature to them, and they would take it as a step-by-step process for other staff that would be unused, wouldn't be used to it. We also did related videos, as you can see here, on how to use Kahoot and Padlet, and how to use the back office functions of Moodle for looking at student engagement and assessment. Okay, so that's all of that now is on our SharePoint site, and you can see here we've elements about proctoring. We'll get to them today. And then the last point about going online is the student. So we had the staff now in place with the training now, and we had the software in place. Now it was about the clear messaging for what's going to be expected of the student coming on campus. So an email was sent by me to all students in the school. If you remember, we all went out in March and it was quite disruptive, and we were learning heavily from March until about May when the term finished. So to plan for the following September, we put all of these provisions in place that you see here, but we also said we need to send a message to the students so the students don't think that they're going to get the same again. They have to know that there's going to be an improvement in the delivery of online, and that we've gone through a whole lot of training. So we sent out a clear message to them that outlined that. Also, we put in a couple of demo videos from staff to show the students what they're going to expect. One of the other things we did in GMIT was we employed graduate mentors. So the School of Business had 3 graduate mentors that worked behind the scenes to interact with the students to make sure that they were keeping engaging. So the graduate mentor would talk to the lecturer, and the lecturer would provide access to the Moodle site so they could see which student was and was not engaging. Then the graduate mentor would touch base with them to say, what's your problem? Have you got an issue? And try to encourage them to re-engage. And then they would have all got a welcome email. And the welcome email is important for how we do the landing. So I'm just going to pop up the video. I'm not going to force you to watch all of this because it's only about 6 minutes long. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag it, bits and pieces of it. Can you see that video there now, Anthony? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so this is, I'm just going through it quietly. So this had a voiceover. So we were just showing them, here are the planning considerations. Here's what we weighed up for semester 2, how we're going to deliver it. And we were letting them know that we're going to deliver all our programs 100% remotely. So they got this in June. Then we tried to tell them that we've gone through training. And now I'm just going to show you. This is the examples then that we put up. Now, this is only going to take about 3 to 4 minutes, but I think it's worthwhile. This is what the student would have seen as a demonstration of how staff were going to approach September's delivery. Sorry, I may have made a mistake there about the volume. Has that, tell me if you can hear the volume here.
No volume.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I kind of thought that I made a mistake at the start. You'd think you'd know better. Hang on now. I'm just going to unshare and share again and put on the volume. Apologies for that. Schoolboy error. And I just moved past all of that. Here we go.
Hello everybody, my name is Trevor Classy and I'm a lecturer here in the Department of Enterprise and Technology here in GMIT. My primary lecturing is in technology subjects. So prior to COVID, we would have been lecturing technology subjects in the labs. Now, going into the new semester, we won't be actually going into the labs, but what we can do is use GMIT's virtual technological suite of tools to give you the same practical hands-on skills that you would have done in the labs. Now, seeing in the video that's playing on loop here, you'll get practical skills such as developing databases, developing cloud technologies, actually visualizing data in those cloud technologies using tools such as Power BI and Tableau and so on. So basically what the premise is that you do not have to be in those labs. I will teach you those skills using the various tools that you can access from the comfort of your own home. So I look forward to meeting you in September and all the best.
My name is Laura Hegarty and I'm a lecturer in the School of Business. And in September, we plan to use many types of tools for engagement to help create a community of practice with our learners. We will use interactive whiteboards. We will use discussion forums. We will also use feedback forms so that you can get a real life input into our online teaching so that you get the most out of this. We will help collaborate and engage with our students using many different tools along the way. We will use live chat where students can have real life chat with their lecturers there and then. The course completion will also be set up and this will allow you to track your course as you go through the different modules. We will also have videos with tools like H5P to allow your videos to be more interactive and you can skip through content. We'll also have the online users block available in Moodle to see who's online in real time.
Hello everyone, my name is Amaya Vega and I'm a lecturer in the Department of Enterprise and Technology here in GMIT. I teach economics and econometrics. Prior to COVID-19, we were already assessing your progress online using multiple choice quizzes and discussion forums and other assessment tools through Moodle. Next semester, we will continue to do so. Your assessment will be online and you will receive clear guidelines on what it's going to be, what the weighting will be for each different types of assessment and what is expected of you. Your lecturer will be there to provide feedback and to assist you with all your assignments or any difficulties you may have. I look forward to working with you. All the best.
So I'm just going to save you listening to my voice on that voice over there. So as you can see, what we did was we gave them a demonstration of what to expect come September, which was basically to show them that we had improved their training and learning since the original lockdown in March. And then at the very end of this, we're giving them some dates to come back and stay in touch with an email. They'll be getting notifications over the summer. And the other element was, yeah, just here at the very end, just the dates that were important to the students. Now, the thing about this is, and you're probably laughing and saying, well, why bother with a video? Why not put it in an email? Students, it's just the way they consume the information. They preferred consuming it by email, by video. And it was only 6 minutes long. And we had well over 1,400 hits on the video. So the students, we could see that they were consuming the information, which was great for us. So now let's talk about how we onboard them. Now, Eamon will show you the welcome email, but normally a student coming on board the programs, they get a welcome email and in it there are a few links for the student, and the first link that they click will actually bring them to the program. it'll bring them to the program board, and it also gives them there's a little link or there's an enrollment key that they need to have, and that's contained in the email. So this will be their first experience of approaching a program in the business school in GMIT. So we have to think about it from their point of view and signpost them and tell them where we want them to go. The other thing that the email will contain is the start dates and the times for the start dates for the modules that they'll be covering. Now we're going to show you this in a minute. I'm just going to talk through it, and then I'm just going to hand over to Eamon, who'll show you. So on the landing page, we have various sections laid out. One is a welcome section, so it's just a short note. But we also put a video in there. So again, they can play the video, and the video will talk through what's actually on the landing page. There's an announcement section. You all probably have this as well. Announcement section. It's just a general Q&A section there for students. And the idea behind this, because it's Moodle, if they pose a question and we answer, they all see the answer rather than having to repeat the answer ourselves. We then, on the program landing page, we have a little intro of a bio of each of the staff that are teaching on that program. We also have various admin details that are on the program regarding the semester. We have screen grabs. What we use in the IoT sector is approved program schedules. So there's a screen grab there so the student will know what their syllabus is. And then the last two details that we have on it are the IT details. It's just telling them about Microsoft Office, what we're using, how to access the labs through Ericom, and then we have some tips for success to engage online. Eamon, I'm going to hand over to you now. You're on mute there.
Great, thanks very much, Graham. Cheers. So I'm going to just share my screen now. So morning, everybody. I'm going to attempt to do a couple of live demos here. So that's always something you do with a little bit of trepidation, but hopefully it'll all work out. So I'm going to share my desktop, and I'm going to be moving between applications a little bit. So hopefully you can see my screen now. Is that coming through?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So, so this is a look at the welcome email. So each student on each program, each stage of a program, would received a welcome email from myself or from their head of department for their program. And this idea of those program landing pages, I mean, I think the key concept there, the key word is signposting. You're trying to guide the student through the online environment, and it starts with an introduction and a welcome, and then on to a program landing page. So our learning management system is Moodle. There's no reason why you couldn't do the same with any learning management system, Blackboard or whatever. So this is the email, just welcoming them back, explaining we're 100% online. Essentially, each Moodle page, and the program landing page is nothing more than another Moodle page, if you like, have a URL. So these URLs essentially have an ID for the page at the end, and you can include those in messaging that you send out to the students. So that's their starting point, the program landing page. And the other thing I mentioned to them here is that the lectures, tutorials, seminars, and labs will be a combination of what we called asynchronous or pre-recorded material and synchronous or live material, live classes, if you like, through Teams. And this varied by module to module across a stage, and the students were getting a bit of variety, and that actually helps with flexibility. So they can dip in and out when they need to. When the live classes are on, they attend to those. So if you clicked on that link for your particular program, then you're taken to a program landing page. And again, as Graham said, we had experience of these for our fully online programs going back a couple of years. And so we kept enhancing them and improving them all the time. So it's an important part of the signposting. So this is one example for finance and economics degree. So that's the URL. They've clicked on the link. Here's Marie Finnegan, nice, warm, welcoming picture, photo, and Marie's contact details. Olivia Finnerty, in this case, was the student mentor. Again, the graduate student mentors were a bit of a game changer for us. They were the go-to person for a student, and they were all graduates of our program. So they knew our systems, they knew their way around, and they were able to help students with that. And then we start to provide them with the information they need, COVID-19 safety information, and then into the now this is laid out in a nice way. And I'll just click in here to the start and take you through it. So there'll be a welcome video from our head of school at the time was Graham. Again, we keep them short and snappy. They're digital natives, so they like to consume in video, and the video needs to be short. I mean, even for all the asynchronous lectures, you know, you're looking at that sweet spot of about 15-20 minutes maximum, and if you need longer than that, you break your lecture up into bite-sized chunks. Another welcome video from myself or the head of department. Again, that's optional, but people, I like to do them. A link for their online induction, which was a Teams link, and they just clicked on that and joined the session on that particular day. Then we give them information on the program structure, so the academic semesters, the modules, a link to the approved program schedule so they can download and see the syllabus for the entire program and for their modules. Then we give them this assessment schedule. Students are really, you know, once they get into it, they want to know what's required of them. When are the assessments due? They like to have that information up front, and we like to provide it in the form of a CA schedule. So we'd be upfront on that with them. A link to our, we provide a lot of information through SharePoint. We have program board sites for the program boards, and a School of Business site where, again, we provide easy access to the programs and modules, the information about electives, the staff, forms, etc. We'll talk about forms in a minute. Then meet the lecturers, a bio there for each of the staff members delivering on the program in that particular stage. And again, photos are nice as well, a welcoming face to the name. And then we outline all the modules for this particular stage of this particular program with easy links. So each of these is a clickable hyperlink, which will take them straight to the Moodle page for that particular module. Explains them who the lecturer is, and then once they click on that once and enroll, they don't need to come back to this page again, but they can if they wish. And if a new student joins or a student joins late, you just can forward them the welcome email and tell them to enroll, and off they go. Information on Office 365. So every student, I suppose in a lot of respects, we were lucky. We were heavily invested with Microsoft technologies and Office 365. Every student has access to the entire Microsoft Office suite and can download and install that on their machine, and indeed on up to 5 devices, up to 5 computers and iPads or tablets or whatever. So we give them information about that here, and we use email as the primary method of communication with them as well. That's really important, and just ask them to do that. Remote apps are remote access to our lab computers that Trevor mentioned there, and I'm going to give a live demo hopefully of that in a couple of minutes. But that's essentially, we made the decision early on. Our labs were sitting there, you know, about 120 computers that the students would not be able to go physically there to access, so we give them remote access to that, essentially like a remote desktop, and I'll show you that in a little bit. For online assessments, and I'll talk about that in a little while as well. We didn't provide online proctoring. Proctoring is a word for essentially invigilation. So it's to have better QA oversight over online exams. And we partner with an external company to provide that. I'll talk about that in a little bit as well. We don't do that for every exam. We do it for key exams linked to certifications and primarily accounting for exemptions. But it is possible to scale it up. So we do use that. Again, we had used that on the online programs. So we'd done a pilot in the School of Business, and that gave us the ability to roll it out pretty quickly in response to COVID. We give students other info on, you know, how to be a successful online learner, various information from created by ourselves, Student Success Toolbox, IT skills courses available on Moodle, and other information that we provide to them, self-training if you like, information on how they get to the student hub was updated, student.gmit.ie, to give the students lots more information, timetable, how to use Moodle, all that kind of stuff. student services, the policies and codes, important for them to have access to. If they need help, who do they contact? Clear information on, contact the mentor at the school office, the head of department, or IT support with the technicians. And then that one is specific to the finance economics team. Yeah, you're moving into semester 2 there. So I'll maybe stop there. That's really an overview of the landing pages, and we had one for every stage of every program.
Eamon, will you just address, before I move on, just the role of, there was a question came in, can students be automatically registered onto the program page, or is it voluntary for the student via the link?
So it is possible to enroll students. Now we didn't do that we typically, the Moodle our Moodle is, in the past, students would have gone to a lecture room, met the lecturer on the day, and the lecturer would have said, hi, here, go find my name on Moodle and enroll in my program. Because everybody was remote, we took the option of sending them the welcome email and guiding them in. It would be possible to enroll them ourselves, but that's another administrative task that you'd have to do. But that would be possible. We didn't take that approach.
And then both of us might address this one about more information, how we linked in the student mentors. I just want to say on the student mentors, we made a very quick decision within the college about bringing in the students, and the students are graduates, the year that had just graduated. So we had an open competition, interviews were held, there was a shortlisting, and so on were done. So 3 student mentors came to the School of Business, all of which were graduates of a program within the School of Business. So initially what we did with them was we assigned them to the heads of department so that they liaise with heads of department. Through that, then the heads of department were putting them in contact with various program boards. So what we did was the head of department, let's say in Eamon's case, he might have 6 to 8 programs, and he had a mentor assigned to those 6 to 8 programs, and similarly across the other departments. So they would then engage with the students. We did a big notification to all the students. We sent out an email to them to say, here are the 3 mentors, here are the programs that they're going to be dealing with, make contact. Do you want to jump in now, Eamon, and just talk about some of the other roles that they were doing?
Yeah, so they would be the go-to person for students who are having difficulties. They organised what they call drop-in sessions with students, which are essentially live Teams calls with groups of students on different stages of different programs. There they did a Q&A and would do follow-ups with any students who were having difficulties. So in terms of, again, they were IT savvy, digital natives, they knew our systems. So if a student, especially a first year, had difficulties with Moodle, Office 365, the e-labs, the student was able to, if you like, do a frontline or first line support in terms of basic IT. Anything more involved could be passed on to the IT technicians. If I was receiving emails directly from students with issues, I would pass those on to the mentor, ask the mentor to get in touch with them. So they were absolutely fantastic. And because they're around, they were recent graduates of our programs, they were of that age group that the students felt comfortable talking to them. And so we were able to get a good feedback loop there as well on how online was going, what was working well, what wasn't working, and fix issues fairly quickly in that regard. So they were absolutely fantastic. And that's something we hope to continue into the future, regardless of COVID even.
The other thing we did with the student mentors was we ensured that they got the same IT pack as staff. So they were given a laptop, they were given a second screen, they were given all that to be self-sufficient as well. On a monthly basis, I would meet with them. Like, they had constant interaction with the heads of department, but on a monthly basis, I would sit down with them, with the admin personnel, and just to see how they're getting on. Was there any additional supports they would require? And they were very good. Eamon, will you just stop sharing your screen there?
Yeah,
and I'm just going to hop across here. Okay, so now this screen, I apologize for the way I have zoomed in here. I have tried to upload this as an attachment onto the chat column, but I can't do it at the moment. So one of the things we did was, as well, I sat down and we did up this quick guide for staff. So I will send it on to Anthony, who can distribute it as long as well as the slides for all of this. You can have access to this. The links won't work for you though, because some of the links go straight into GMIT, so you won't have passwords and so on. But it's just to show you an overview of what we were looking at. So we also had to think about some staff who were very uncomfortable with going online, and we had to be able to provide them with little cheats about how best to do it. So after the workshop that we did, I sat down and we put this together about if you had theory-based content, group-based activities, skill-based, what to do next, what are the possible online solutions, how do you start, where to go, how do you assess. The other thing then, and you can just look at this yourselves and you can go down, it's the same format about there's an activity, possible solutions, and where to direct the staff member to go. And all of it to be interactive, so that we did videos on these things. Either we had done them in the school or the teaching and learning office had already done them. So we were just providing a little filter, coordinating them. Sorry, and then we just brought them in here about bringing it all together on your Moodle site. How do you do it? How can I ensure students find what they need? Little quick tips about the overview of Moodle, other tips about helpful insights, and tips and guides for the staff member that were there. So it's just like a cheat sheet for them, or in military terms, we call that a TAC aid for them. Now, the other thing we did was we also put it up for Moodle planning. Sorry, module planning. So we were saying to them, if you've got a 10 to 13 week, this is just a demonstration. Outline your topic that you should be talking about each of the week. Is there a group activity? Is there a lab activity? And then the various assessments. We're trying to assist staff. See, we use all this for the online delivery, but most staff, as you know, who deliver face-to-face, they have their own ways of doing it. And with online, one of the things that came up, we were trying to make this a little easier for people and kind of have a consistent method of delivering, so that the students would see the changes that have taken place. Now, this is some of the module planning schedule that we use. This is another variation of it. So you can see there Monday, the time the lectures are on, whether the student sees a pre-recorded material, what's involved there, the live session, or is it dates and times. And it's a little overview for the staff member. I'm just going to talk a little bit about a Moodle page now and just go through these slides here, and then Eamon's going to show you an example of a couple of Moodle pages. So on the Moodle page, you've got to think about it a little bit and a little bit of planning. How's it going to look like? How's it going to design? So there was a question asked earlier in the chat column about the Moodle and the program landing pages and the Moodle pages. So we provided staff with templates. They were generic templates, but they were based on the online programs that we were previously delivering. So we knew they kind of worked. Now it was up to the staff member. If they wanted to tweak it with their own messaging, that was fine. But we gave them a template because we knew this is how it was best for students to consume the information. So what you want to include from, I'm not going to go through all those questions. You can see them there yourselves. We then also just moving on a little bit here. So some suggestions, and Eamon's going to show you this. An introductory video is very helpful rather than text. You can put up the text, but they're not going to read it, but they will listen to you. An introductory video of a Moodle interface, introductory videos throughout the different topics that you're going to have. And this has come from those staff that are delivering online. Be visual, have a summary of yourself, an overview. Now remember, don't put in specific dates and times because then it's hard to reuse the asset. So try to be a little bit generic. Be visual in your designs everywhere, and then put in where you're available for the students, because in the online environment, it's important that they know that they can reach out to you. They know that you're free in a certain date and time. It's a bit like your office hours, but you're just doing it virtually. Provide a description with other documents. Make things easy for them to find. And basically, that's the big takeaway from it is have short little videos, make it visual, make the information easy to find. Eamon, I'm going to pass back to you so you can just give an example there.
Yeah, sure. And I just wanted to say as well, I've seen some questions in the chat there around proctoring. Yes, we did a pilot on the online program pre-COVID, and that worked well, and that allowed us to accelerate in the COVID era. With regards to students, yes, I mean, like broadband for students was an issue, and it is an issue in rural parts of the west of Ireland, not just rural parts as well. And there were difficulties. You know, we did our best to help students in that regard. at certain stages during the lockdown, they did have access to campus, and they could go in and maybe use the Wi-Fi there if they needed to. They really did. They could view some of the content on a phone or a tablet and participate that way, but they really did need a laptop if they wanted to engage and complete their assessments and so forth. Now, we did provide a student assistance fund, and where students had difficulties financially trying to secure a laptop, computer, or other computer, they could apply through the Student Assistance Fund. And we provided 450, I think, approximately, laptops. So every student that requested one, we were able to provide a laptop to them, which was really superb, you know. So I think we did consider the students as well very much in terms of, and a lot of the mentors were helping them with issues around broadband, and they did their best, you know. But that was difficult. And so can you see my screen there now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so just going to take you through some Moodle pages, and every Moodle page was slightly different, and this was not, we tried not to be prescriptive either to the staff. We provided them with a lot of training, as Graham mentioned, and a lot of workshops around how they would manage their online teaching and learning. And a lot of training was provided through their institute-wide teaching and learning office also. And it was that mix of asynchronous and synchronous, and the feedback from the students was that they really liked the mix. So each lecture was slightly different. In terms of the Moodle pages, so a lot of people adopting a very similar approach. They would, let students know very clearly what was expected of them week by week. So what are we going to cover this week? What learning objectives are we going to meet? What's expected of you, if you like. And a lot of lecturers also engaged in what we call low stakes continuous assessment. So you're thinking of maybe a Moodle quiz or some other activity that the student has to complete that might be just 1.5% or 2% even, but you might do that on a weekly basis. So that helps you with student engagement, because students have to engage on a weekly basis with the content, and also they get feedback early on how they're getting on, and they're able to get some points on the board. So that really helps. So here you'll see there's readings are provided, different slide decks from of PDFs and quizzes and so forth. And you can see the entire semester here, but this will be revealed on a week-by-week basis. So obviously they're not seeing everything at once. So that's fine. That's one approach. I'll show you another approach from Laura Hegarty, who's one of our award-winning staff members, who's provided a lot of workshops and helped to students, again, give a schedule out at the beginning, and then different approach, more visual, a little bit of the variety that students get. So again, bringing them in through an introduction, and here now we're starting to see, setting out the continuous assessment schedule for the module, showing them, exactly what's to be expected of them at different points. And then let's get into a little bit of the teaching. No, that's not a better example here. Yeah. So this is, accompanying, links to the videos that the students need to view. Also links to PowerPoint charts or PDFs or other material that the students need to complete the learning for this week. Another short video, 5 minutes, another short video, 24 minutes, and then more PDFs and more PowerPoints. I'll talk about that in a little bit, about that universal design, if you like, for learning. So you're providing students with multiple different ways to consume the learning. It's not just about slides and slideshows and what have you. And it goes on like that then week by week as you go through. And coupled with live sessions on Teams. So, that some of the material is asynchronous, pre-recorded, they consume it, they get access to it here through Moodle. And then you'll also they'll have links, or they'll get a calendar appointment in their Outlook to go to a live Teams session. And students really liked that because they can consume this content when they want to. So it's very flexible. the team session happens at a particular time, and they go along to that team session, have a chance to ask questions. Okay, thanks. That's it, really.
Eamon, you just might, there's a question that's come in there. Sorry, as I'm just loading up here. A question has come in around, where is it gone? A module delivered across a number of programs, all working on different time frames, moving through the module at different paces. Any tips how to manage the loop page setup to make that as smooth as possible?
So we would typically divide. So if we have the same module being taught to different streams or different programs, we would typically stream that. Now we do that because of the numbers. So we would have very large numbers of students in the School of Business, and to provide a better engagement for the students, we break them into smaller classes. So multiple lecturers might be teaching the same module, but they'll have their own Moodle page and manage it that way. If that maybe answers that question a little.
Yeah, I think it does.
Okay.
I'm just what you see now in front of you on the screen is the welcome page that a student will receive to go into ERICOM. So this is the virtual lab environment. This is the IT lab environment. Now, the reason we went with ERICOM, we had two options. We could go with a cloud-based solution, or we could go with ERICOM. ERICOM is remoting live into the PCs that are physically on the campus in the lab. And the software is all, as you'd imagine, preloaded. If we went for a cloud solution, it could lead to some delays in accessing the information to the cloud and the volume of the traffic that was going to go through it. So we went with this solution. We found it as we had trialed it once before, but we really just had to scale, and we were trialing it, I should say, with one of our modules before COVID had hit, and we said we were actually trialing both processes, the cloud-based solution and the ERICOM, the remote delivery, and we then decided, right, we'll take a punt with the ERICOM. It proved to be more successful for us. Eamon, I'm just going to pop over. You're going to vote in and give an example there.
Yeah. Okay. So let me just go back to sharing my screen now. Okay, can everybody see my screen back again? Yeah. So as Graham mentioned there, we'd used remote desktops in the past, which are virtual remote desktops, which essentially sit in the cloud. And we'd use those on our online programs, so we had some experience here. But really what we wanted to do, as I said earlier, was be able to use the physical infrastructure that we had. So we knew we'd have, 120 laptops in the School of Business alone, sitting there idle, doing nothing. So we engaged with a company called ERICOM to provide a remote access solution into our lab computers, and that way we could provide the students with real-time access, if you like, to the applications that they wouldn't otherwise be able to install on their laptops. So here's Graham showed you the web page there through elabs.gmit.ie, and you can do it through your browser. You can also download a little piece of software called AccessPad, and I have that here. And then you can get access to any one of the labs. So if you have a timetabled live session you want to run with students, you can say, okay, I'm going to do that in the Burn lab. Join the Burn lab at that particular time, and we'll start our session. The other advantage of ERICOM is the students can access the labs 24/7, so they can access at any time to actually run the applications that they need to do. So here's this is me actually live running a remote session into one of the lab computers at the moment. I think I'm in the Aaron lab. So when I operate it, it's essentially running in, I'm directed to the teacher's computer, if you like, at the top of the room, and the student will be allocated randomly one of the, say, 32 computers that are in this particular lab. And so once I'm here, it's like essentially a remote desktop. So it's like a mini PC inside a window. Okay, it's fully functional, so I can select here any application that I need. So all these applications, Adobe Suite, Sage accounts, SPSS for statistics. A whole range of applications are available there to students to run. And I'm not going to click that now, but that would start up there. I'm running some here in the background, so things like SPS modeler for statistics. I'm able to fire up that program, interact with it. These are licensed programs that the students would not have access to. So they're not freeware. If it would be very difficult to provide students, we'd have to purchase a copy for each student if we wanted to give it to them in any other way. And Power BI was another popular one for analytics that Trevor mentioned there. So it's fully functional. You can log into it at any time, and you can run a live class through there. Now, the other really big advantage and the way we use is by using a piece of software called LandSchool. And LandSchool allows us to be able to control the room, if you like, from the teacher's computer and be able to run a live class in a better way. So here I have a high-level view of all 32 computers. I can see that there are a number of students logged in here at the moment on 5 or 6 of the computers there. If I want to run a class, I can, and I'm want to show them something on SPSS or Sage, I can just show the teacher's screen, and that will share my screen with all students in the room simultaneously. I can also chat individually with the student. So if I see a student there, I can right click on their screen, I can show my screen to them, I can show their screen to every other student. So if I wanted to work with one particular student, fix a problem, and then show that to all the other students, I can do that. I can send a file to that particular student. We can chat. It's really a very, very powerful tool. So the ability to remote access our lab computers, run those applications, and run a live class is really, really very powerful. So that's a high level look at that.
Now, just before you finish on that, I'm just going to answer a couple of the questions. So the question about, does someone need to be physically in the labs to get desktop working? No, you just need to ensure that that all terminals are left turned on. So if there's been a power outage or something like that, your technician will have to go in and just make sure that all the labs all the terminals are turned on. Mm-hmm. The other question is, ERICOM and LandSchool expensive? I don't think it was, Eamon.
Not hugely expensive. Obviously, there's a cost. LandSchool we've had for many years. We've used that in a pre-COVID environment as well. We actually have dual monitors on all our computers in the labs. So every student, if the lecturer shares their screen, the student can keep that on screen 2 while they're working on screen 1. In terms of costs, I would need to look that up. It's not extortionately expensive. No. I mean, we had to engage with ERICOM, and there's a cost there.
Yeah, I don't recall it offhand because it kind of the IT services looked after getting the license for us, but I don't recall it being prohibitive. There is another question that has come in. Do we think that modules formerly delivered face-to-face will now adopt a more hybrid online forms based? Yes, is the short answer. I think a lot of lecturing staff are reviewing good practice. I think they'll have a blend between. One of the things we're quite conscious of is we think that students need a bit of hand holding in first and second year. So I don't see a lot of hybrid coming in those 2 years. Maybe as the student progresses through third and fourth year of a degree, there'll be more hybrid coming in, particularly around a bit more of the pre-recorded material around lecturing space. Our accountants have found actually it to be very, very beneficial to have a lot of pre-recorded stuff, because they can talk through problems and for students, and they just leave it up there as a repository, and the student goes back, and then what they do in the tutorials is they'll do the live questions, they'll do other questions, more advanced, but they don't record it, but they get more engagement out of that. Eamon, if you mind just coming off the screen again, I'm just going to show a little video here that has some student feedback.
I'm getting a lot of crackling from your audio, Graham. Is there anybody else experiencing that, or is it just me?
No, it's okay, I'd say, man.
Okay, it's my broadband then. So
Yeah, it's you out in Headford there, Eamon, out in the sticks. Okay. So this is a video. The reason for this video actually was in about October, November, we wanted to tell students what was going to happen in semester 2, even though we knew we'd be online, but we wanted to give them an update anyway. So we did up a video, and on the video, sorry, now just going to pause that. It's just an overview, and I'm going to just show you, rather than taking up your time, I'm going to show you feedback from 2 of the students. That student there is in Malaysia. He took the whole entire semester, or sorry, year at home. He was in Malaysia. He never returned, and he really enjoyed his online experience. So I'm just going to show you 2 clips from 2 students. It won't take too long, just to give you feedback. So they actually, this is warts and all. They'll tell you what they really thought and how the experience went for them.
No, she's on mute, if you can hear me.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
Okay, apologies. Let me go back and do that again. I know what was wrong. Here and there. Okay. Can you hear her
Hello,
now?
my name is Hannah, and I will be talking about my online class experience at
Yeah.
multimedia so far. I was dreading this class at the start. I just didn't know how it was going to be taught. I was like, am I going to have to download the software, all the editing software like Adobe Photoshop? But no, you just log on to eLabs, and there you have it. It's all there. It's so good. The Moodle page is so easy to navigate. All the folders are clearly labeled and everything's put in the right place, and Microsoft Teams is so easy to navigate around too. Group work isn't that easy though, because you kind of want to meet your group face to face. I know you can go on video call and voice call, but it's not the same thing as meeting them face to face. But so far it's been grand. It is a lot different though this year. Like, you can't go on campus, or you don't have the proper college atmosphere, but like, sure, what else are you supposed to do? It's a pandemic, so doing the best they can, I suppose. But yeah, so far so good.
I am in second year Business Information Systems in GMIT. When the coronavirus hit last March, we left the college in March, and we haven't returned since. When I got the news that we were doing our first semester of second year at home, I was very apprehensive about it, as I usually work better face to face with group members for projects and assignments. And we started on the 28th of September this year, and we had emails flooding in from various lecturers, which modules to enroll in. We had pre-recorded lectures to watch, we had live lectures to attend, as well as getting used to Microsoft Teams, which I had never used before. I was all over the place. As well, our class were enrolled in the wrong module for the first 2 weeks. So we had to catch up on the work that we had missed in the module that we weren't enrolled in. After everything settled down, I'm in fact loving my at-home college experience. I would be happy to finish out the rest of my degree at home. I feel like I have a lot more spare time, as when I have an hour break, I'm catching up on my work rather than going to the canteen for a coffee. However, I do really miss the social aspect of it. It can feel a bit isolated at times, but overall I am enjoying my experience.
All right, I'm conscious of time as well from what Anthony said there. So like, these slides will be left for you. These were just to show you some tips about planning online from the lecturer and the student's perspective. The one thing we just might touch on, Eamon, before we close out though, is proctoring. Might just give an example, but before you do the example on proctoring, I'm just going to say there were some other benefits by going online for ourselves, one of which was having our SharePoint for program board, so we have a lot of repository of information for the staff. We also had a lot of online forms for the students, so we automated a lot of the processes, directing the students to connect with the forms through their various SharePoint site. And obviously it was a bit efficient. We did our program boards virtually, and the feedback from that has been overwhelmingly positive, that I think when we go back into even a face-to-face environment, I'll conduct an awful lot more of the program boards via a computer lab. So you can have people remoting in, you can do it through Teams. So Eamon, if you're still there, you might just want to touch a little bit on the proctoring.
Yeah, so again, proctoring or online invigilation. You could share your screen back there again, Graham, because I I'm not able to go into the live system on this one for GDPR reasons. But so essentially, proctoring or online proctoring of exams was something that we had piloted on our online programs. So we had experience of that. In a nutshell, proctoring is essentially where we were following a class record and review. So we were recording the session. So you can time an exam, record the screen that the student is working on, capture video footage from their webcam, and capture video footage from a smartphone app, their mobile. So essentially, the webcam is looking at them front on, you're recording their screen, and you ask them to put the mobile phone over to the side so they have a side view. So you can run closed book exams quite confidently. You can lock down the student's computer, so they have no access to the web, they have no access to other websites. You can provide them with access to Moodle if you wish. And you can, as you see on the right hand side here, and no points for guessing who this potential student is, you can establish somebody's identity at the start. So they hold up their student ID to the webcam. We take a snapshot of that, we take a picture of them so we can verify their identity, and then they commence their exam, and it's timed and it times out, when they're finished.
Eamon, I'm just conscious of time here.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was the name of the Dutch company again? I can't recall the Dutch company.
It's called Proctor Exam.
Yeah,
so we had done a DPIA, data protection impact assessment, on that company. We had looked at companies in the States, but we went away from them, and for GDPR, it's GDPR compliant as far as we're concerned. So that's Proctor Exam, they're based in Amsterdam, one of a number of companies providing this service now.
So with that, Eamon, will you just turn off the recording? We're happy to take any Q&A that people might have. Like I said, that's kind of a whistle-stop tour that we did.